and welcome to Lay It Out Podcast, the No Bullshit Science Podcast.
With extra bullshit.
I'm Curie.
And I'm Alice.
I never know what to say in this.
No, last time it was like, and we're coming to you from the same place as last time.
Yeah, it's the same place as
we're
always.
We're still here.
We are still here.
This is our new and improved location.
It is. I like it.
Demelza didn't pick up on that.
Very nice
I insulted
job,
your home. Although I do miss the broken chair. That was fun.
I miss the cats.
Yeah, actually, I do miss
my
the cats.
furry friends.
Yeah, they were fun. You know, and every now and again they jump on the table when you're in the middle of like explaining something quite confusing.
The best thing was when we had Jack on and he doesn't like cats and she
he
kept
was
jumping
so
on the back
appalled.
of her chair, his chair. Yeah, so me and Alice spent the whole journey here discussing what we're going to talk about in this bit, and then we've realised we haven't done anything.
No, this week's been really boring.
We have nothing to talk about.
No, we discuss things we're going to talk about in future episodes, but not what we're going to talk about in this one. So, yeah. I mean, you had one thing you were going to talk about.
I had the most pretentious cocktail of my life yesterday. So we had this really nice dinner, and then for post-dinner drinks, we went to the Lanesborough Hotel. And
this was you and your fam.
This was me and my fam.
Yeah.
And I ordered this cocktail. It was called the Upside Down Fizz, it was a gin. I think it was a Hendrix with elderflower and like lemon bitters and blah yada yada. And like it came with a lime and ginger foam. I was like, ooh, this could be nice. So I ordered it.
Sounds
and
delicious.
it comes in this futuristic looking spherical cone thing. And then I'm looking at this drink like, that's a really big glass. How the fuck am I going to lift this glass to drink it from?
Mm-hmm.
And then she comes and starts taking off each layer of this thing. And it becomes 3 smaller glasses. And in one of them is my cocktail. Mm-hmm. And one of them is the foam. Mm-hmm. And in one of them is the fruit, like this dehydrated fruit slices of cucumber and citrus fruits. And then it gives you a metal straw with this round disc on the end of it. And basically what you're meant to do is you add this foam to your cocktail to your taste, or so that you get the bitters from the sweet from the foam and the sharpness of your drink. And then you can also dip your dehydrated fruit chips into the foam to then offset the sweetness of the foam with the sour.
It sounds like you're in the lab.
Chips. And I was just there, like, the whole time she's explaining this to me, obviously I'm being real polite because it's a nice place. Uh-huh. And I'm there like, oh, yeah, it's wonderful, great, oh, thank you very much. Uh-huh. And she walks off and I'm like, why is there so much work in my cocktail? It's a £17 cocktail and I'm doing half the fucking work. I'm paying them to serve me my drink. I just want to drink my drink. I don't want to sit there making my cocktail.
But presentation is everything.
But I have to sit there and optimise the protocol of how much foam I'm going to put in my drink. I just don't have time for that.
No. At least the straw was metal.
It was. I was very tempted to steal it.
Yeah.
But it's one of those places where it's just a little bit too nice to steal things from.
I disagree. I don't think there's such a thing.
There was no one there.
What do you mean?
Like, there's not many people there.
So way easier to steal.
No, but it would have been really obvious that I stole it.
Would it though?
I don't know, but my mum did steal a napkin.
There you go.
So we have that.
Did you steal any cutlery?
No, there wasn't any cutlery from this one. Oh, but they did, you know, in those fancy bars, they always give you those free nibbles. Mm-hmm. And in this one, they gave us some Kalamata olives, and those baked corn things. And then on the top, they gave us a nutty trail mix that was truffle. Yeah, so there was like these truffle cashews in there, which were amazing.
Like you forgot the truffle oil for our mac and cheese today.
Yeah.
Because you just had so much truffle last night and you didn't want any more, but then you deprived the rest of us.
I feel quite bad, especially because I have that truffle olive oil at home and I barely use it.
It would have been so delicious.
It would have. But it was good anyway.
True. Very cheesy.
It was very, very cheesy. Our guest is driving me home tonight and I don't know how he feels about that.
So Curie told me earlier on that when we were making mac and cheese, Curie's a bit intolerant to dairy.
Only a tiny bit.
Only a tiny bit. So much so that she announced that she couldn't wait to shit herself on the way home after she had the mac and cheese. So yeah, I'd say that's a little bit intolerant.
So it's only like soft cheeses and milk.
So in that mac and cheese there was milk, a considerable amount, butter, quite a lot, and 2 different types of cheese.
Yeah, but Parmesan's fine.
Okay.
Hard cheeses don't have that much lactose in them. It's the soft cheeses.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
This is a really boring conversation.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah. Shall we just introduce our guest?
This is because we've done nothing this week.
We've both had pretty terrible weeks.
Yeah.
Right. Anyway, shall we introduce our guest
Uh-huh.
before we bore everyone to death?
Yes, let's do that.
Yeah. This week, I brought some guests on. We have Dan, another boyfriend of the podcast. Mike.
Science!
And...
You've trained him well.
and Callum.
Hello,
Who are you, Callum?
I'm a friend of Dan and the podcast.
You can't be a friend of a podcast that you've never listened to.
Yeah, okay. It's a new relationship.
A distant friend.
To be fair, he was there when I had my first Yorkshire pudding that day. So I'd say you wouldn't have your first Yorkshire pudding not amongst friends.
That's true.
I even finished your Yorkshire pudding.
You did, yes.
So a couple of weeks ago we were all out for drinks and then we went to Dan's pub and we found out that Alice had never had a Yorkshire pudding before.
They're not a thing in Ireland.
No. So I dropped Dan a text on the sly being like, oh, can you bring us some Yorkshire puddings? Alice has never had one before. And then one of the guys who works there just walked up to our table.
But wait, you forgot about the timing. It was literally within, I'd say, 90 seconds of us. No, that's a slight exaggeration. But definitely within 5 minutes of me being like, oh, I've never had a Yorkshire pudding. And then all of a sudden, this random man who we'd never seen before drops a plate of 4 massive Yorkshire puddings on the table. And we were all just like, what just happened?
Just to clarify, it was me who brought the Yorkshire puddings over.
No, it wasn't.
No, it
It
wasn't.
was.
No.
Oh.
It was me. Yeah.
It was.
Yeah.
So, what do you guys do? I mean,
Yeah.
we've just covered it, but like,
So where do you work?
yeah.
So I'm the holding manager at the Old Brewery in Greenwich. It's a very nice pub restaurant located inside the walls of the Royal Naval College. So if you're ever in the Greenwich area, look out for me.
I love that you winked and we're on a podcast.
As long as you guys know.
I totally missed that.
Brilliant.
Of course it was the other eye.
Yeah. He didn't want you to see it.
But yeah, I've been
See
working
that
in
moment.
pubs for about 7-8 years now, and making my way through the career ladder. I'm essentially running a business at the moment.
Nice.
So that's very good.
Do you know what they call people that run pubs in Ireland or
What?
own them?
Alcoholics.
Yeah, but other than that.
Irish people.
Yeah.
Irish people. is the answer.
Publicans. Like that's like the legit term.
Publican.
Yeah, a pub.
I don't like that.
They're like a
Weekends.
publican.
No, because it sounds like Republican.
I think
Yeah,
that's
but-
the pun.
Maybe it is, yeah.
Oh.
Perhaps. Because we're the
Really?
Republic.
Is that not the pun?
Oh.
Oh my god.
There's a natural. If you when you look for driver license or insurance, there's a natural.
Republican.
No, publican.
Publican.
Yeah, it's natural. It's not like a slang. It's like a natural.
A
Like
term.
a word for a pub owner, even
Yeah.
in England. Even in England.
Ah.
Or just in
I'm
Ireland.
not sure.
So wait, so this is on an Irish license?
No, this is just on when I get insurance. It has a list of things you can.
Okay, well then it must
Yeah.
be in England if it's on the list.
Oh wait,
And
so
Dan's
when
English.
you're under occupation, there's
Yeah,
publican.
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting. I did not know that.
The more you know.
I don't like it. It's an ugly word.
Yeah. I think it's kind of like
What's a
old-fashioned and cool.
what's a pretty word for it? Like if someone who runs a pub.
I don't know.
Do you know what my
A
dad's official?
restaurateur.
Yeah.
Pubber.
Something that sounds like French or something. European.
What does?
I don't know.
Restaurateur.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it is. It
Yeah.
is. I think French or something.
Yeah, exactly.
I think the more English you make it sound a bit. I'm a restaurateur.
Well, okay, if I was French, then it would sound better.
You can do it in a French accent. He's very good. Callum is very good at accents.
Oh, Callum is very good at accents.
Oh.
And the last time we were all together,
Yeah.
I really wanted to. Whenever like I'm with Callum and people, I always want to show off your thing, but you really did not pull it out of the bag with Alice. You didn't do anything.
I know.
And then I get a text from Curie like 5 seconds after we left, being like, "Oh, now he's doing loads of accents." I was like, "Damn it!"
Yeah. I'm not good. I'm only good with English-speaking languages, like accents. I can't.
Okay.
So if you ask me to like a French accent or
Okay, can you
Or something.
introduce yourself in a French accent?
no, that's what I'm saying. Like if
Oh.
it has to be.
Because they're like French
Oh.
speaking.
Yeah. It's,
So can you do like Canadian?
that's really. If I was from somewhere like Newfoundland or something. So
Okay. Okay. Cool.
It's not polished. but
Okay.
it's-
Wait,
so,
okay,
You're
hang on.
working
What's your best one?
I've been trying a lot of South African.
Okay.
Go.
And
Can you tell us what you do in South African?
Will you do the
Yeah.
rest of the podcast in South African?
If it's good enough.
Okay.
So
So you're making him nervous.
no, I tried to think of like little scenarios and like role plays.
So do you actually practice these at home?
I practiced this one today. Yeah.
Okay.
So,
For
yeah.
this?
For this.
Oh,
You know,
cute.
you asked me to, so
Yeah.
can't be bad.
Go
Anyway,
for it.
so
So what do you do, Callum?
no, my name is not Callum, it's Wilehm. I grew up in Johannesburg, and
This is our third guest.
yes, hello, sorry I'm late, everybody. There's a lot of traffic. Anyway, I'll just tell you a little bit about myself. So I like to spend my spare time down at the beach. And I love taking my pet with me. He's a good little boy. And he's not like a dog or a cat or anything like that. He's quite a strange little pet. He's a water buffalo. He's a water buffalo. His name's Herbert. He's a good little chap. He likes to frolic about in the waves and the sea, and he has a lovely time in the sunshine. He's got a very thick coat, so you have to trim that down a bit. But other than that, he's all right. He's all right. He's a good little lad. He minds his own business.
Welcome to the podcast.
We're delighted to have you here all the way from South Africa.
Oh, biggest fan.
That was very good.
Why didn't you bring your water buffalo with you?
He can't fit through the door. You know, the rotating doors. I had trouble getting through them.
What's your name again?
Willem.
Willem.
Is Wilehm a traditional South African
Yeah.
name? Yeah.
Afrikaans. I don't know. Don't go into too much of the backstory. I just kind of came up with it today.
So what do you do, Wilehm?
Well, I'm a retired colonel in the army. However, I gave that up because I got shot in my leg. So now I teach science spare time.
Oh.
No.
I do.
Wait, you're a scientist. You shouldn't be here. We might need you to go back to your water buffalo.
Okay, I need to fill up his water anyway. He might be getting a bit thirsty.
Okay, it was nice to meet you, Wilehm.
Thank you for having me.
Okay.
See you later.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Door closes. Door opens. Callum enters.
Welcome back, Callum.
Oh, hi. I just walked past this really
You
weird
missed,
looking guy.
you missed that.
Yeah.
Wilehm came to visit.
We
us.
had a brief
He
that.
smelled like
Yeah.
water buffalo.
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah, he's stunk.
Alright, anyway. Callum,
Hello.
what do you do?
Aside from dabbling in accents, I also work at the old brewery.
Where's that?
Greenwich. By the county, I can't think of the thing off the top of my head, the postcode, so
SE10 9LW.
that's SE10 9LW.
For any booking inquiries.
So I just do that sort of part time. I've also
My
recently.
face hurts.
Oh,
Can you not interrupt?
sorry.
Sorry.
What was one of your rules? Sorry, guidelines. Okay.
Sorry.
Oh, I lost my trail of thought now.
Very professional, Dan. More professional than.
And it's pointed at me for people that, can't see us right now.
How
Yes,
long
anyway.
have you worked at the old brewery?
Like a month. If
Yeah.
that? About
About a month.
a month.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
How's it going? Do you have a nice manager?
Yes.
Yeah.
See.
See?
Wait, Dan, we wanted Callum to answer that question.
No, I do have a good manager. Yes. He did leave now, but now we've got a dick holding him.
Hardy.
Yeah. No, it's all going very nicely. Very well. Very pleased with the manager. Very happy.
What is your relationship with science?
Well, I
So we
never-
had Wilehm on for a little while, and he was actually a science teacher. So can any of you match that? No?
Wow.
No?
No?
I never had a good relationship with science. I didn't go to the best school. And my poor science teacher, Miss Richardson, I hope she's doing well now. We were just in one of those classes where she had no control over it.
Yeah.
And everyone goes, okay guys, if you could sit down, and everyone was still standing
Oh,
up talking.
no.
Oh, bless her.
And she tried really hard, and you could see that she really wanted to touch our souls. She couldn't. We were just talking. Bunsen burners weren't allowed because we kept burning things. not me necessarily, but people in my class.
It was
You were
ju-
just
you were the
you were
ringleader.
setting fire to things.
Just bits of paper. I was like, oh, in the Bunsen burner, that's fine.
The thing is, it is kind of mad that they let you have Bunsen burners in a school, though, isn't it?
And the big one for me was when you used to get you get the science hats where they're the big round ones and they go up and over in like the science rooms.
The science hat.
What? No, the taps.
Oh,
Oh,
right.
yeah.
big rounds.
Yeah.
Is when someone's just snapped one of them off and the water starts shooting up to the ceiling and she just stands there, deep breath, and says, "Okay, class, if you could leave the room, please."
Oh, she was defeated.
And I don't think anyone ever went back into the classroom. I think everyone just went off for an extra half an hour break. And I felt really bad for it, but at
But
the
you
time,
didn't go back?
no.
No.
I was the sheep. I was part of the class, so I wanted to fit in. I don't think she made the end of the year 11, which is sad. She was a nice lady.
You guys actually drove her out.
We came back next year and she was gone. That was the last we saw.
I hope she's still in science. Hope we didn't drive her out.
So out of the 3 that you do at school, which one do you think you were best at?
I just had science. There was no
I was about to say, can you name the 3?
physics, chemistry, other science, other sciences,
Applied science.
applied science.
Wait,
We just had a science. It was just you had science.
okay.
There was no breakdown.
This is like our last guest. They just kept referring to school
School
science.
science. Yeah.
But to be fair, actually no, we do break it up into subjects.
But do you know what? We're doing well. Second episode in a row, we've got 2 legit
Yeah.
non-scientists.
Yeah.
Well done.
Oh.
What about you,
We have
Callum?
2 barmen.
Yeah.
/ one maybe publican.
Potentially.
Soon.
Soon.
But so when you get like your GCSE results, especially on yours, do you get 3 different?
yeah.
I just had science and E apparently. It's obviously E for excellent.
Yeah,
I hear that's what
No, I
it
think I
stands
got
for.
D in science.
Okay.
I was never a classroom based.
oh, it was the BTEC distinction.
Huh?
It was BTEC science. You got distinction.
Oh, but it wasn't.
Oh no.
No.
Oh, all right.
Oh,
I got
just a
mixed
D.
up. Oh, okay.
Thank you for trying to claw it back from me. No, it's too late for me.
You're a lost cause.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a shame.
What about you, Callum?
I watched Rick and Morty.
He was what?
I watched Rick and Morty.
He's a trained scientist.
Yeah, I'm too good for Harvard.
I mean, it's very accurate.
Oh,
Yeah.
it is. Yeah, it's completely accurate.
Jeez, Rick.
Yeah.
That is how science works.
Yes, proven. Fact. No. So I got in my 3 sciences, Alice. That I got.
All sciences.
Wait, can you name the 3rd?
What did you say? Physics, chemistry, and biology.
Oh.
Ding ding ding.
Thank you.
You'll get an award for that.
I got C's, so nothing. Just a little pass. That's
What
fine.
does C stand for?
See you later.
Yes, that. But yeah.
Did
Racing
you
ground.
But do you guys actually enjoy science, or was it just you didn't enjoy school?
Well, since I listened to the podcast, I like listening to.
I mean, you'd think you're going out with someone who does science. I'd hope you'd like science at least a little bit.
I do science.
So
Oh.
I talked to you about it quite a lot.
Do you want us to leave the room?
Yes. Well, no, yeah, I pay attention to it a bit more now, and it's not. I don't shy away from it as I did in school.
I think it is one of those things though, that if you didn't like it in school, it's one of those things as you get older, you do tend to pay more attention to it.
If you didn't like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think you probably pay attention to the stuff that is more relevant to you.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
that you might understand a bit more.
I
Would you
think
say?
the big difference of going out with someone who's involved in science is when you get those media headlines. I was like, found something that's going to cure cancer. And you can just look at it and go, that's bullshit. And I was like, well, the internet says that they can cure all baldness.
I think
It did a study with 10 people.
I think
Trust
the
me.
real killjoy that comes with going out with a scientist is when we're watching movies or something. Like we went to see Jurassic World, and they talked about how they pulled the DNA apart and then put in some genes that would make a dinosaur compliant to a human voice.
Spoiler
Oh
alert.
god.
Oh yeah, spoiler alert, sorry. And then I went to him, I was like, that is absolutely fucking bullshit. There is
And
no
my
way
reply
they
to
could
that
do it.
was, they've made dinosaurs alive.
They're more
This is the
likely-
bit you don't
no,
get.
They're more likely to be able to make a real life dinosaur now than encode in your genes that you'll be compliant to a human voice.
You've obviously never gene spliced with dinosaurs before, have you?
Oh, gene spliced. Look at him.
Okay, well, should we talk about science then?
Okay.
Yeah. Alice,
Hey!
Alice is going to go first this week.
Are you excited?
Hell yeah.
So excited.
Can't wait. Buzzed.
We prepared all our science keywords. Test tube.
Pipette.
Bunsen burner.
You've already said
said
Bunsen
that.
burner today.
Again.
We should keep this game going and see how long it takes them to run
I
out
think
of
this is it. I think they're done.
Please leave the classroom. Oh, wait, so my turn.
Wait, do you not remember any of the things I've said to you about how I culture myself?
Neuroscience. You said pipette, so
Yeah.
fancy pipettes.
We'll get my hands on some of them.
So there's a paper. Is there?
Yeah, okay. So, I'm a nutritionist, as Dan will know.
I did know that.
Oh, Callum knew that too.
I
Did I tell you that when we were having Yorkshire
I
pudding?
found that out in my own time.
Oh, okay. Cool. Well done.
That's a bit
Did you listen to
stalkery.
the podcast?
No, I didn't.
Okay, so
I
that
didn't
is
know you
bit
had a
stalkery then.
podcast.
That's a bit creepy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know all your secrets.
Moving on. Moving away from my topic of my PhD this week, which is the microbiome, which I love, and that's the reason I talk about poo all the time. So sadly, in this episode, you might be sad to know we're not actually going to be talking about poo. I hope that's okay.
You can talk about poo if you want.
We'll find a way. We'll make it relevant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll bring it around.
This
Yeah.
paper is poo. There we go.
Haven't even read it yet.
Oh, sorry. Spoiler alert.
Just can't catch a break. Okay, so I'm going to read out the title and then you guys can launch in with your questions. So, the title of this paper is The Big Breakfast Study, Chrononutrition Influence on Energy Expenditure and Body Weight.
What's chrononutrition?
So,
Ah.
to explain that, I need to explain a few things.
Don't worry though.
We'll make something up.
We'll wing it.
And that's the end of this paper.
Is it to do with
Curie, your
chromosomes?
go. Okay, no,
And how does it
so...
relate to your toes?
So chronobiology, first of all, is the study of the circadian rhythms of biology.
I have a question.
Yes, Callum.
What was that first word? We're going with S.
It begins with C.
Oh.
Oh, wow, we're learning so much.
Yeah, so much knowledge in one room.
So I thought
Wow.
you'd ask that question. So basically, circadian rhythms are it's like you have
It sounds like a Peruvian flute band.
That sounds like an alien or something.
Can I just point out that this is going to be...
we're not going to get very far.
You haven't done one
This is going to be one...
sentence.
Okay, let me just tell this story because we need to.
Okay.
When I was doing my recruitment stall in Croydon, which I and it was in a fruit and vegetable market, just to give you an idea of the caliber of these two guys
And their combined brain power.
yeah, that we are now trying to explain science to. I really needed some spring onions to take home that night, so I asked them to go buy me some spring onions. I said, "Here's £1. Can you go to one of these people and
You
buy
gave
me-"
us more than £1. You gave us like £4.
Okay, I said,
£2.
"Here's
They
£2.
went and bought sweets.
I said, here's £2, can you go get me some spring onions?" And they're like, okay, great. They went off, they were gone for a bit, and then I see them coming back in the distance, and then I see they're holding a bag. It's a normal plastic bag, but there's just something green that's sticking out at least 30 centimetres out of this bag. And I'm looking at them going, I'm not sure that's a spring onion. And I was just there going, oh, I don't think that's a spring onion. And the closer they get, the more I realise that what they've actually bought is a fucking leek. And not only did they buy me leeks instead of spring onions, they bought the shittest leek. Like, it was so withered and muddy and gross. Like,
Yeah.
I wouldn't be able to eat half of it anyway.
But did you actually think it was a spring onion?
This is the thing. I said to them, guys, this is not a... First of all, I said, oh my god, you imbeciles. And then I said, this is not a spring onion, this is a leek. And they were like, oh, it's what it looks like in the picture.
Yeah, well, we pulled up what a spring onion was. And
On Google.
On Google Images.
Sponsor us.
Yeah. And it was this like green long thing, like, and
There was white on it as
there was
well.
a bit of white at the bottom.
Yeah,
Like,
right
we
at
knew
the
kind of what we were going for. We had a rough idea.
Oh,
And so the longer we walked through the market, we didn't see anything that looked like this. So we're like, they don't have any, right? And then we saw this thing that was long and green and a bit of white on the end. We're like, oh, it must be it. That was before we went up to the end, like where there was like a bunch of flowers and
Yeah,
clothes.
we realised at that point.
We'd gone too far.
Yeah,
So
we
yeah.
learned. We were learning as we were. We were like AI, really.
Exactly.
We were learning as we were going.
Yeah, so we started walking back, and then we decided we need to get something. We can't come back empty-handed because then
I would much rather you came back empty-handed.
There were a lot of stalls as well. It's very intimidating.
Yeah, it is very intimidating.
And we were two amateurs. We didn't want to look like amateurs. It's like when you go abroad. You don't want to look like you're abroad. So we had to
Blend
act like
in.
we know what we're talking about.
Do you know what makes is the actual topping, like the kicker of this whole story as well, right? Is they're both very tall. So Callum's 6'5" and Dan is 6'2", and I look. Well, how tall are you?
6'4".
6'4" and 6'2".
I'll take 6'5", yeah.
And I look down the market and there's these two beaming heads floating out of the crowd, so happy with themselves that they bought me what I asked for.
I think we were more happy because we were just worried we got the wrong thing.
Yeah, as we were walking back, I did say to Dan, I felt like a little disclaimer. I was like, Dan, I'm going to be honest, I don't think these are spring onions.
I wasn't 100%
Yeah,
confident.
but they were the closest thing. So,
yeah, it's that same, but different.
Yeah.
But still same.
Still same.
It's like a family, you know? Like cousins. They look like cousins. So I can tell you
Okay,
related.
Okay, fine. They are in the same family.
There we go.
Oh, we got this. We're learning.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Right, anyway.
And that was the first chapter of the Adventures of Dan and Callum. He just made his own jingle.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cute.
Yes.
Right, anyway, sorry.
So something about science.
There's so.
And how many leaks did we have to buy from this?
Okay, so no leaks involved in this study, I'm afraid.
We're professionals.
I know they're your favourite things. So, circadian rhythm. It's like you have little clocks in all of your cells in your body. And these clocks control all the different things that are happening in your body. So, basically, what we're saying is that your body works on a rhythm, and the rhythm is controlled by when it gets dark at night and when it gets bright during the day.
Okay.
Okay? So that means that when it's dark, different things happen in your body to when it's bright. So this is a circadian rhythm.
So this is one of the things of why, at the moment there's this big craze of having the blue light filters on your phone. It's because all this artificial light we think is disrupting the circadian rhythm, which is why these have all started coming in.
And circadian rhythms were only discovered in science terms relatively recently, which was in like kind of the 1980s. But actually, the Nobel Prize last year was won by three guys won it for their discovery of what controls your circadian rhythms, which is so they call it the master clock.
Ooh.
Yeah, so that's in your brain.
Like the grandfather.
So
Big Papa.
the master
Big Daddy.
clock. Okay, I'm gonna try and compare this to things to make it clear.
It comes
Simple.
on Alice's famous analogy.
I do love analogies. So what I've got right is
This is analogy.
the. Oh god, she's full of the jingles.
And I'm available for all advertising.
Where do you work, Dan?
In a pub.
Okay, so it's called the suprachiasmatic nucleus.
Damn.
So that is in your hypothalamus, which is what Curie researches.
No.
Where do you read?
I do the hippocampus.
Ah,
Duh.
we'll cut that out. Okay, so never mind. So that's in your brain.
Some professional.
Okay, so think about it this way, right? Master clock in your brain. The way I like to think about it is that master clock is kind of like Sky News. Because whenever I want to set the time on any of my other peripheral clocks, I check Sky News to see what time it is. So your master clock in your brain, that's the one that recognizes when it's dark outside and it's like, okay, it's sleepy time and fasting time. So that's when you shouldn't be eating. And then the master clock also realizes when it's bright outside and it's like, oh, we're awake, we need to be alert and we can eat. So like it makes you hungry and things. So then your Sky News clock sends messages to all your peripheral clocks, which is like your watch and your phone and
Your computer.
your computer,
Your pocket watch.
your pocket watch,
pipe.
your what?
What?
Your pipe?
Okay.
Does that have a clock on it?
Yeah.
Oh. Hey, get me one of them.
Dan.
It's basically a vape.
Oh.
Okay, moving on. So the peripheral clocks, okay, we're saying they're your computer and your watch, etc. But actually what they are is like your liver and your gut and your fat cells, so your adipose tissue. And where else are
Your
they?
what tissue?
Adipose?
Adipose.
Adipose.
Well, even Callum knew that.
I did sport.
And your
Oh,
muscles,
yeah.
your muscles, your skeletal muscles. Yeah, and that's
Both
I
of
have a
us.
Yes,
question.
yes.
I'm coming to you as this is a genuine question. You said that, okay, so it's when it's nighttime, it's sleepy time.
Yeah.
And you don't eat and you
Yeah.
sleep and you're asleep. You're sleeping.
yeah.
I eat a lot at night
Yes.
and I sleep a lot during the day.
Okay.
How can I fix that?
Help me!
Fix me.
This is really funny because what we have sitting in front of us is two quite slim young men. But what this paper is going to tell us is how having disordered circadian rhythms actually makes you more prone to obesity.
We were talking about this on the way here.
Yeah.
And we were saying actually what this paper does, or the general thing about circadian rhythms, doesn't actually apply to you guys.
No.
Because you both have really messed up sleeping patterns because you do
Yeah.
shift work and you both eat enormous amounts. Yet you're so active that it doesn't seem to make a difference.
And also, at the same time, everybody is different anyway. and everything works slightly different in everybody anyway.
That's the new thing now, right? Like personalised circadian.
Everything's personalised these days. So anyway, how are you feeling about what I'm saying right now?
Yeah,
I'm with you.
You're following?
Yeah, I'm following. Yeah.
Okay, so where's the master clock?
It's in your brain,
Which is Sky News.
which is not the hippocampus.
No, yes, well done.
No.
Yeah.
It's the hypothalamus.
Yeah, so I was going to say that next. Yeah.
Yeah. And what does that one?
They're both
what
still
controls?
in your brain, by the way.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Okay.
What controls that clock, or what influences it?
Daytime, nighttime.
Yes, light and dark specifically.
Ooh.
And
morning,
what
good
does that
night.
clock?
I like you haven't done this with any of our other guests, but with these two, you have to treat them like children.
I just want to make sure they understand.
I think
before
after
I
the
move
spring
on.
onions story, I think that's why.
Okay.
So if it's for two simple-minded folk.
I'm just gonna get rid of this. So okay, and what does then that clock? What does your master clock then communicate with?
To your watch. And your telephone and your pockets.
Yeah. Pocket watch.
And what are
What,
they
what time it is?
analogies for?
Your gut,
Your computer.
your liver,
Yes.
both livers.
I think I had 3.
Yes.
Oh yes.
No, only 2.
Oh, you have 1 lung. That's what else. Wait.
Okay, so
We
Do
are
you know
funny.
what? The blog post is going to be Jamal's blog post is going to be correction. You have 1 liver. Correction. Correction. Your pockets don't tell the time.
okay, so getting back to the original question, which was what is chrononutrition?
Oh, yes. I've completely lost interest in that, don't worry.
Oh no, what about what?
So basically, chrononutrition is how these clocks and these rhythms that are happening in each of your cells that are different in nighttime and daytime interact with your nutrition. So when it's nighttime, in theory, you're gonna have like less processes going on, so less metabolism. I was gonna say, do you know what metabolism is? And I feel like I'm being really patronizing.
Yes.
You do?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I know what metabolism is.
That's what helps you dream.
It's how I get my shoes on in the morning. Right?
Wait, is it not?
I don't know.
Oh.
I don't think it matters that I didn't read this paper. Okay,
But yes, we do know what it is.
what is it?
It's what helps you process stuff.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's all the things your cells do to stay alive. So that is, there's 2 main things. They break down nutrients to make energy, and then they also build things that your cell needs. So that's normally proteins, and they're like all the things that your cells need to survive. And what your cells use to survive makes you survive.
Wow.
Yeah.
Crazy.
So your cells also have all these little clocks. Remember the clocks?
Yep.
Yeah.
Still there.
So there's an interaction between your metabolism in the cells.
Bless you.
Oh my god.
We were getting somewhere, and you
Sorry.
burped.
Pardon me.
That was a really bad one.
Yeah, it
That
was.
was
You were
also-
just trying to force that.
I was.
I did force mine.
Yours was very forced. It was more like air pocketing.
Sorry. Continue.
Anyway.
Yeah, so the metabolism in your cells interacts with your little clocks.
Yeah.
So when you're sleeping during the day,
Yes.
you're messing up these rhythms. And that's why you're more predisposed to being obese and having metabolic syndrome.
That explains a lot. What's,
Says the least obese person.
what was that second one? Metabolic syndrome.
Yes.
What's that?
Metabolic syndrome is like a cluster of different risk factors, and they're all to do with your metabolism.
Wow.
So there are things like raised fasting blood glucose, which is a precursor to diabetes. So you're gonna get diabetes
Okay.
soon,
That's fine.
or you might already have it.
Oh.
High blood pressure.
I'll sleep it off.
High blood pressure, waist circumference above a certain limit. So that's really indicative of like poor health outcomes. So there's a cluster of symptoms that make you more predisposed to bad health consequences.
Gotcha.
Question.
Yes.
So obviously you get a lot of people who do sort of night work and stuff,
Shift work, yeah.
shift work.
Yeah, like yourselves.
Like myself.
Yes, yes.
So obviously I'm told as a child, nighttime is nighttime, you should be asleep. Does your body react to sort of what it should know?
Yeah.
So once you switch to shift work and you're working, whether it's 10 till 5 in the morning, can you actually, will your body sort of start
Shifting.
shifting?
So that's what this paper is getting at.
Okay.
So there isn't that much research. So they've discovered that you do have these clocks that control these rhythms, and they've shown that that is happening. But in terms of seeing how those clocks interact with and the clocks and the rhythms interact with your nutrition, there's not that many studies on that. So that's what this paper is kind of setting up for. So this isn't a typical paper that I would have done in other and that we normally, like, it's not the typical format of papers that we normally do on the podcast, which are fully published, like peer-reviewed, experiments that have already happened. This is just, they published basically their plan. So what they did was they identified the current research in this area. They then highlighted what's lacking and what's missing from it, which is what you do when you're like setting up an experiment, and you look for gaps in the research and then you want to get the knowledge to fill those gaps. So that's what they're doing here, and then they explain what they're going to do, but there's no results in this paper because they haven't finished it yet. So I'm kind of just introducing this topic, and then maybe when they publish the results we can get them to come back
Oh, that would be good.
and
wouldn't it?
test them and see how much they remember.
Yeah, that would be good.
Clocks.
Yes.
Clocks.
Science.
Sky News.
Diabetes.
There you go.
Diabetes.
Yeah.
Diabetes.
So yeah, that's what this paper is. So we're not going to have any results or anything. It's just going to explain what the theories and the ideas are behind what they're doing, and then they say what they are going to do, and then we're going to leave it there. So it's a bit of a cliffhanger.
I thought we could speculate on what we think the results might be.
I'm sure we can predict them, yeah.
Oh, you're sure, are you?
Yeah,
You say that with a lot of confidence.
I'm quite comfortable with
Oh,
that.
Have you been talking to
Yeah.
Vilma? Have you been talking to Vilma?
Wilbur?
Willem.
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 Who?
Willem.
The science teacher.
Oh, we didn't get a chance to chat.
Oh.
That's a shame.
He'd have been helpful.
He texted me and said he might drop by again later on.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't wait to meet him. I hope I'm in the room when he's here too.
You do have a bad bladder.
I do, nice. I'm
so-
feeling a bit unwell.
So how they lay it out is that when it's light,
Pun intended.
Anyway, come on, science. Let's
oh
go.
look, he knows stuff by heart. That's cute.
I sing
He's
myself
our biggest
stupid.
fan.
Oh.
Yeah.
He begs me every time to give him a shout out, and I keep forgetting. So
Well,
here we go.
I've had
Shout
my
out to Dan.
I've had my boyfriend, which I'll take.
Ooh.
'Cause that's presume you're talking about me anyway.
Hopefully.
This is awkward.
Awkward.
Ooh.
Anyway, science.
Science, yeah. So, hang on a sec. So I'll go through some of the facts that they have, because some of them are quite interesting. I think you'll enjoy them. So the first one that they said was that the UK is reported to have one of the highest evening energy intakes. And they're saying that this is bad because what they have observed in other studies, and now these are just observational studies, so they're not the like highest quality evidence. It's still quite lacking. So that's what they're going to set out to fix. So that the more you eat in the morning, and this is why it's called the Big Breakfast Study, the more efficiently your body utilizes that food.
Nice. I love big breakfast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the reason they're saying this,
Oh boy, I love a big breakfast. Go fill up my tummy.
I'm gonna throw a theory out
can I
there.
have some more gin?
Yeah. I'm gonna throw a theory out there.
Yeah.
I reckon this might be why
Curie's conundrums.
Asian populations tend to be quite efficient
Populations,
and
more like. Am I
work
right, fellas?
shut up. And work quite hard
'Cause they
have big breakfast. Like as a Korean, a lot of people for breakfast they will have pretty much a dinner,
Yeah.
but as breakfast.
Yeah.
Would a big factor in that? Obviously, having a big breakfast, I could have a big fry up, which is
Yeah.
obviously not the healthiest kind of breakfast. If you have a big breakfast, which is obviously a bit more nutritious or something that helps your body, is it more focused towards having a healthy big breakfast or?
So they don't really go into that yet, and they do lay out what their plan is for their study. And all they mentioned in this study so far in this paper is that
That was just a very good question.
it was a good question. Well done, Dan. So what they're going to do is they're going to get obese participants,
That was a high five.
just in case anyone's wondering. They're going to get obese participants, and they're going to split them into two groups and get one of them to have 45% of their energy intake for breakfast, and the other half to have, I think it's like 25% of their energy intake for breakfast. So one of them will have a big breakfast and the other group will be a small breakfast. Or I think it might be a crossover trial.
Will they have a group with no breakfast?
No, I think they're just comparing the two.
Okay.
But yeah, so they don't say what they're going to feed them, but that's an interesting question because they are just saying that you're going to utilize your nutrients better. Yes.
Did you say obese people? Sorry.
Yes.
Okay.
And overweight.
Because
They think that this is a group of people it's going to have the biggest benefits to, because having more of your energy intake in the evening has been associated with being heavier.
Right. Okay. But you're saying that they're going to have 45% of their intake of their normal breakfast. I mean, yeah, they're obese, so they're going to have a big breakfast, I'm assuming. If I can,
Yeah, but what they're so
are they going to be like they might have a bigger
their other meals are
portions?
going to be controlled as well.
Yeah,
So this
okay.
study is going to give them all their food. Their breakfast is going to be 45% of their total energy intake.
Oh, of like their specific
yeah.
breakfast. Okay.
Yeah. So then,
But how do we not know? How do we know then that any effects they're going to see isn't from weight loss?
because that's the goal. So their main outcome is body weight. So they're going
Right.
to see which group loses more.
But if they're controlling their food, then
But they're going to be isocaloric. So both groups are going to have the same amount of total calories.
But it's not
But
going to
it's
be.
going to be spread out differently. So hang on, I'll say exactly what they're doing. They're going to have, say, a big breakfast group. So the big breakfast group are going to have 45% of their food for breakfast, 35 for lunch, and 20% for dinner. And then the evening group, so the small breakfast group, are going to have the opposite. So 20% of their energy in the morning, 35 for lunch, and 45 for dinner.
This is interesting.
Yeah. So the only thing that they're effective, and they're doing quite thorough measurements of everything else, and they're also measuring physical activity quite rigidly because they want to see whether it might be, they're looking into the mechanism, so they want to see if it might be a thing that in the morning, even though you're eating more, the mechanism behind the increased weight loss is something to do with like maybe increased energy expenditure later on in the day, or whether it's actually to do with you're able to process your nutrients better.
And I assume that the total energy intake they're going to get is a proportion of what they habitually have.
So because it's obese and they're an obese population and they're trying to get them to lose weight,
Yeah.
they say it is going to be restricted.
No, as in it's going to be because they're not all going to have equal amounts of calories that they normally
Oh,
have.
you mean based on energy requirements?
Yeah, so it'll be a proportion of that. So is the energy intake going to be different for each person so that they've cut down the calories by the same amount?
Because I guess a 6'5" obese person against a 5'5" obese person, there's a big difference to probably what they take in anyway.
Yeah, I guess because they're doing it, all they report is that they're going to do percentages.
You would
So I'm
think so.
assuming, yeah.
I can just imagine the headline now: "Big breakfasts make you healthier."
No, it's going to be like fry out for breakfast is okay.
Oh god.
Yeah, that's what's going to
Yeah.
be.
Then like the month after, it'll be like big breakfast can cause cancer.
So they went and did some experiments, and some of these, mainly the outcomes that they've reported and the observations that have been made, the study wasn't designed for that purpose, so it was just kind of secondary outcomes. So they're designing this study specifically for this outcome of seeing what happens when you eat more of your calories in the morning and what might be the mechanisms of that going on behind.
I see.
Okay, and what some of the evidence behind this was from a study that they did in mice. This often happens before human studies are done, that they whip out the animals.
I did give Callum a quick briefing that there's probably going to be some sort of mice experiment involved.
Are you scared of mice?
Wherever the
So scared.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I
Oh,
have
dear.
bad dreams.
So I better not bring the mouse that I was going to show
Are
you.
you actually?
No, I'm
Okay.
I know all about mice. That's right. I'm like,
miceologist.
yes.
Yeah.
I forgot to mention I dabble in.
You're a vegan, aren't you?
Mice experiments.
Yeah,
When I'm bored, I open up mice.
basically, I do just collect mice off the street and just cut them open, inject them with things.
The
This took a weird turn.
officer, if you're hearing this, we died.
I think we found the Croydon cat killer, guys.
No,
that's the thing,
is he
yeah.
still out there, or she,
Yeah.
Yeah, don't assume their
More
gender.
like
or
Gender
it,
equality.
or it, or they?
No, Callum's not vegan, but he does have a vegan
No,
girlfriend.
might yes.
So he's-
Shout out
he's-
Beth.
So he's doing. Oh, he's also a scientist.
Hi, Beth.
So you're both going out with scientists.
Yes.
Yes.
We met on sciencegirlfriends.com.
So back to the mice.
Yep.
So what they did was so mice work differently. So mice are nocturnal. So their dark time is when their clocks are like, okay, you need to be awake and you need to eat. And then when it gets bright, it's like, okay, you need to go to sleep and you need to not eat and you need to fast. So it's a bit confusing because it's the opposite way around. But
That's super confusing. I'm lost already. Wait,
Like a mat.
what's nocturnal?
What's a mice?
okay, so what they did was they altered. This is kind of what happens to you, Callum.
Okay.
Guys, Alice thinks you guys are such idiots.
What have you told her, Curie?
So they misaligned their clocks. They wanted to see what would happen if they made them eat when they were supposed to be sleeping and fasting. And so they gave the mice, they split them into two groups. One of them, when they were supposed to be asleep and fasting, they made them eat. Then the other group, they let them just sleep and fast while they were supposed to be sleep and fasting. And then they let them eat when they were supposed to be eating. And they gave them the exact same food, the exact same amount. So they ate the exact same, but just at different times. So one of them when they were supposed to, and the others when they weren't. And The group that ate when they weren't supposed to gained significantly more weight, and they had the same calorie consumption, as I said, and physical activity. But the ones that ate outside of their rhythm gained loads of weight.
I know why we have childhood obesity now. Because when you're a kid and you're having sleepovers, like, the big goal is to have a midnight feast.
How many sleepovers did you have?
Like one a day.
Every night I sleep over with myself, so I go to the fridge.
Callum had a question
I do have a
about
question.
5 minutes ago.
So you said that it's their time to eat, and then there's this other mice and their time to sleep. Did you just give them like food in their plates, like here, eat this, or did you not change like the lighting or anything like that?
I feel like what kind of might be asking here. I don't know. If
Otherwise, I might just get a bunch of jet lagged mice.
They do mention that this is kind of what happens with jet lag as well.
Oh.
It shifts your skin.
Yeah, so I've heard the best way to get over jet lag is to fast.
Yeah.
Well, I've had both. I've had either fast or just keep eating. No, because jet lag makes you hungry all the time. So apparently the best way to get over jet lag is to fast for 24 hours beforehand. And then it will help you with your jet lag. Because it like resets you.
Because jet lag's never been a big problem for me, because I can just stay awake and then sleep for 5 hours, and I'm like, okay.
So Demelza and people at work laugh at me about this because they think Dan's having me on. But this is a thing that really happens. And sometimes Dan will be like, I'm going to go to sleep now. And then he'll just make himself tired and fall asleep. And Demelza is like dying right now because they laugh, they make so much fun of me at work because they're saying, no, Curie, he's having you on. He just wants you to stop talking. But you don't say it now.
I can make myself tired.
Yeah.
That's on the record, that is, Dan.
Or is it just that you're actually always tired?
I feel like a really shit version of Hulk. Why you think I'm never tired? I'm always tired.
So wait, can you do it now?
Not in this circumstance. If I'm in a bed,
If we turn the lights off.
I can't come in now. No, if I'm in a bed, I'm like, I want to sleep now. I can just make myself tired.
So after they did the mouse studies, there was some brief human studies that they did. So in one of them, they had one group have their lunch early and had the other group have their lunch late. I'm not sure exactly what times, but let's say a late lunch was at like 3 p.m. and an early lunch was at like noon. And they found that the ones that had late lunch lost 2 kilograms less than the ones that had early lunch.
Thing is though.
Is that good or bad? Sorry. Curie.
Yeah,
Is that good?
Yeah, so late lunch means they didn't lose as much weight, so
Yeah.
that's bad.
So the earlier, basically they're saying the earlier you eat,
The more weight you lose.
the better it is.
That's bad.
And
That's
this
good.
whole
That's good.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
good.
So the whole reason they're doing all this research, or like they're reviewing what has happened in the past, and then they're going to go on and do this study, is because they want to see what the influence of the timing of your meals has on your energy balance, which is directly responsible for like your body weight and leads to if you have unbalanced energy intake.
Riddle me this.
Yeah.
What about how let's go if we head towards the Mediterranean or like
Diet.
Spanish people.
Mm-hmm.
They
Yeah.
eat really late.
Yeah.
And they are probably some of the slimmest. And same with Italians, they have really late, long meals.
Yeah, true.
And they are probably the slimmest and some of the healthiest people in the world.
Yeah.
Does it depend on like climate as well? Because obviously.
Yeah, and also they have oh no, I was going to say, they're not closer to the equator, are they? Do they have longer days?
I don't know.
They are? Yeah, slightly. And also, I know that they eat late, but how large are the meals that they eat late at
They're
night?
pretty big. On
Are they?
Italian, like traditional Italian family meals are really big, aren't they?
But like that's like when they're like having parties at the weekend.
Depends.
There's definitely a lot of influencing factors, and they're doing this study is being done in Aberdeen.
Well, they have really long days in the winter and really short days. No, sorry, other way around. Their days are really long in the summer and really short in the winter. Like my friend who's doing her PhD in Aberdeen
Oh,
now.
because they're far north.
Yeah, so right now it doesn't go dark for them till 11 p.m.
What?
Yeah,
That's bizarre.
and she's saying it's really affecting her sleep.
So, yeah. Also, if it's still bright outside, it just doesn't feel bright.
Exactly, and then Reese, who lived north, he was saying there were times when you'd go on a night out, you go into the club and it's light at like midnight, you come out of the club at 3 a.m. and it's light.
So it's only dark for like 2 hours.
Yeah.
That must really mess
He was
up
from
the-
Inverness,
Yeah.
wasn't he? And then one other study that I want to mention is they also looked at, similar to what they're going to do in the future, they got a group of overweight women they had 50 of them, they had half of them to have 14% of their energy intake at breakfast and 50% of their energy intake at dinner. And then the other half had 50% of their energy intake at breakfast. So imagine 50% of all the food you're going to have for the whole day. And 14 at dinner.
That's a really big breakfast.
And the ones that had the 50% of their energy intake at breakfast lost 5 kilograms more.
Whoa.
And
That's
had...
a lot.
Over how long, sorry?
I think it might have been 10 weeks. But the differences in weight were significant between the two groups at 4 weeks. So it started really early on, and then they went on. I think it was or was it 20 weeks?
What's the normal time for breakfast in this study?
Time of day.
Sometimes I wake up late and have a breakfast at 11 o'clock, whereas these guys might have one at night.
So because this is kind of a review of all these papers, they don't report every detail. But I'm going to imagine it's going to be quite early.
Yeah.
So maybe like 7 or 8 a.m.
So what do you guys think of that? That was very different from what we normally do as a paper.
Yeah, because I know it didn't really follow any format and was a bit all over the place. But yeah, it's more of a watch this space kind of paper.
Yeah, but it's interesting, especially with it's such an easy thing to anyone could do sort of thing if they obviously manage
like
to do it.
to implement into your life, like to just have a bigger breakfast.
Yeah, it's really really interesting because I think a lot of people might think, oh, I need to have a small breakfast because I don't want to overeat or anything. Whereas actually, if you have a bit more, your life could be better.
Okay, Curie, your turn.
Alright, should we move on to my paper? May I have your attention, please? Hi everyone, I'm just popping in here because anyone who knows this paper I'm going to talk about might notice that I didn't quite do this paper justice. We've left out quite a lot of it. I did cover all the really cool stuff, the main important things, but there is also a lot of it that I didn't cover. And the reason for this is you might have already started to notice that one of our guests is starting to get just a little bit quiet. We encourage our guests to bring in a few drinks to help them loosen up, and this guest took it as, well, why don't I bring in a whole bottle of whiskey? And so the content that was coming out might have just died a little bit. And yeah, so if you want the full scoop on the paper, it will be on the blog. I just wanted to put that out there because this is quite a well-known paper in neuroscience, so if you're listening from that field, you might get mad at me and send me hate mail about how shit I am at doing my job. But it wasn't me, it was my guest, who was, in his words, 500 mils of whiskey drunk. So yeah, I will maybe give a prize for someone who can tweet us and tell us which guest it is. Hint, hint, it's not Dan. Thanks, enjoy the rest of the podcast. Bye-bye! Right, this one might take a while, so should we get cracking?
Yes.
Okay. So, while Alice has moved away from her usual field, this week, after having a few weeks of slugs and like skin colour and all that, I'm moving back into my field. I was also gonna thank you very much.
The grand return.
We missed you.
I was also gonna pick a much easier paper, and that was a human trial, and I changed my mind very last minute.
And how do you feel about that decision now?
We're scientists.
I think it'll be great.
Can we be a
Okay,
part of
cool.
the trial?
My trial?
Yeah.
No, you're too young.
That's
And
ages.
also you're too thin.
Damn.
Okay, so
Let's get fat and old.
Yes, do it. You go first.
Shut up! So this paper has a much simpler simpler title, and it's called The Dynamics of Hippocampal Neurogenesis in Adult Humans.
Yes.
So simple.
Could you repeat that, sorry?
Dynamics of Hippocampal Neurogenesis in Adult Humans.
What's neurogenesis?
Neurogenesis is the production of new neurons.
Copy that. What's a neuron? Refresh my memory.
A neuron is the cells that make up your brain and make up your whole nervous system.
Cool.
So it's all your nerves, your spinal cord, and your brain. In particular, I focus on the brain. And within the brain, there's a small region of your brain called the hippocampus. Mm-hmm. And that's a really small region of your brain that's responsible for memory.
Yes.
So it's got this big role in long-term memory specifically. It's
right beside the hypothalamus where your clock is.
From the last one.
Yes.
Last paper.
Relevance.
It's also quite active in spatial memory and spatial navigation. And then some examples of the memory that it does. So the two bits of memory that I look at are things called recognition memory, which is the ability to remember old things, like things you've previously encountered, or pattern separation, which is the ability to tell the difference between two very similar events. And so this hippocampus is the one what?
I just remember him doing the South African accent.
So the
Stop interrupting, eh? This is to the nice lady.
Oh, Wilehm, you're back.
Oh, hello. Sorry, I just
Where'd
passed.
you go?
I passed a very nice young man on the way to the toilet just now. He did look like he's in the best of shape.
Callum is.
It was an hour and a half ago. What did you do in the toilet?
I thought you were going to.
He was tending his water buffalo.
I was gonna say, I thought you were going to go give your water buffalo some water.
Yeah, I had to also shear him as well. He was getting a bit warm. I always keep my clippers on me. In my emergency clippers.
On this lovely warm London day.
It was lovely, warm London day.
You've got a bit
I've gone
Scottish.
Scottish. I've gone fucking Scottish, mate. 9:25. It's not like this in fucking Aberdeen, I tell you, that son.
That is not an Aberdonian
I don't know the difference.
Abertonian.
I just pulled Aberdeen from the last bit.
That sounds very Glaswegian.
Okay, I'll go with that.
What's your Glaswegian alter ego called?
Kevin.
So have you just gone from Kevin Bridges?
Maybe. He's a funny
Okay,
guy.
so we now have our fourth guest of the evening, Kevin.
So we have Dan, Callum, Wilehm, and Kevin.
Okay,
Anyway,
Curie, continue.
this is a fairly old paper. It's 5 years old now, which is quite old in science terms. And it's basically talking about how the main debate behind this phenomenon of adult hippocampal neurogenesis, so this production of new neurons in your hippocampus as an adult, is 1, does it go down during primate evolution, and 2, are there enough new neurons that are generated that can actually contribute to brain function? Why are you laughing?
So Dan made a funny face.
That was my face. And I can see you looking at it, made me giggle.
Right, I'm going to try and keep this together as much as I can.
Come on.
Good luck.
Here we go.
So one of the first studies that showed evidence of this in humans, because there's loads of animal studies, especially in rodents, that we know this is definitely something that's happening. But with humans, obviously, we can't look at our brains as we're alive. So there's no way that we can really know for sure. So one of the first studies was in 1998. And they used post-mortem brain tissue. And from that, they could show that there were these newborn neurons in these people's hippocampus. Right? So the way that we measure this neurogenesis in animals, where we kill them, sacrifice them, we can cut their brains open and actually see what is going on.
Callum, this is exactly like what you like to do.
Cutting over animals.
Yeah.
It's sacrificial. Yes.
This is obviously not applicable to humans. We can't randomly just kill off a human after we've done an experiment on them.
Legally.
Well,
I mean, if you could, would you?
If there was a waiver,
would it
someone said,
depend on the
actually,
person?
If someone's like, actually, I would like to die for science, would that ever get approved?
No.
And I was like, I'm willing to do it.
You can just donate your body, but you have to die naturally.
You're like, well, what about I'd like to die right now?
No. I mean, if someone really came up, I think if someone really came up to me and they were like, listen, I'm really ready to die for your experiment, then I'd get someone else to come and kill them. But
You wouldn't even do it yourself.
no, of
I mean,
course I'm not gonna do it.
You don't
que-
have to do your own dirty
Of
work.
course not.
I mean, my question was,
Jesus,
could it ever be approved? Not would you do it?
No,
It's,
it
would you get
can't
someone
go.
to kill someone for you?
It would never be
No.
approved.
No,
No.
Ethics committees would
Yeah.
strike you off.
true.
What?
It would also be pointless because you can't have results from one thing, one person,
Ah,
and say this is
yes.
the thing. Yeah.
You'd need like at least, depending on your power calculation, maybe like 25.
Yeah.
Looks like you need to be a
All
little
come to
spring.
you at the same time,
Hang on,
having had the exact same exposure
To everything.
to everything.
Can we stay focused, please?
Come on,
I
guys.
also-
You're
I-
the scientist.
Okay.
Let's be professional.
Yeah, so because there's no way to do this, stop it! Because there's no way to look at this in animals, in humans, they needed to come up with a new strategy to do this. So what they did was a technique called retrospective birth dating. So what this does, it takes advantage of basically in the atmosphere there's carbon-14 in the air, and it takes advantage of the fact that this was elevated. And this is because in the Cold War, so from 1955 to 1963, there was the Cold War. And in that time, there was above ground nuclear bomb testing. And because of those nuclear bombs, there was a lot more radioactive carbon in the atmosphere. So during that time, there would have been this spike. And then there was the treaty that banned this testing in 1963. So then from that, the carbon would start slowly going down in the atmosphere. And so this radiocarbon dating is what they use to age trees, for example. So it's used a lot in sort of the other fields of science, but it's not really something that was done in humans before.
So the people that would have lived through that would have more carbon
Exactly.
in their cells?
Yeah, so the way it works is that the carbon reacts with oxygen in the air. This forms carbon dioxide. This gets taken in by the plants for photosynthesis. And then when we eat these plants, or we eat animals that have eaten these plants, then we take up that carbon as well. So basically, atmospheric carbon-14 levels are always mirrored in the human body at all times.
I knew the carbon-14 was how they age things. But what's the relevance of the period of time when there was like way more of it?
You'll see.
Oh, okay.
You'll find out. That's the cool bit of this.
Coming up in Curie's paper.
So basically what happens with your cells is they divide, and during this division your chromosomes double, and at that time this carbon sort of integrates itself into your DNA, and so through that those carbon levels in your DNA, that's how they can see like the levels of carbon that you have and how it correlates with the time and what the carbon levels were at that time in our atmosphere.
So it's like a print, kind of.
Yeah, kind of.
Like a timeline.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It's like a time capsule of carbon in your cells.
Interesting.
Yeah.
What do you guys think?
So cool.
Do you have
I'm
any- do you have
pleased
any
they.
questions?
I'm pleased they upgraded from carbon 13. That was an out-of-date system. It just,
Waiting for
it
that.
just wasn't working.
That update.
Yeah.
How long
So
have you
long.
been thinking of that joke?
Like since you started. But I was following the guidelines.
Okay, so on to the results.
I've never felt more like a teacher than I do in this podcast.
Especially when you were like, okay, so what do the clocks do? And what does that do? And
I
what's
wanted
this?
to make sure everyone was on the same page.
It was very good.
And we were up until that point, but then I think we might have lost it.
You definitely lost control of the classroom.
Yeah.
You were Mrs. Richardson.
Yeah.
Shame.
We should do a Q&A at the end of this episode and see how much they retained.
Right, so they...
Sorry.
So they got...
That was me.
So now on to the results. So what they did was they would isolate genetic material from post-mortem hippocampus
Cells?
Yeah, and these were from people aged 19 to 92 years old. So they'd have all these brain samples and they just isolated that bit of their brain and then got the cells from that bit. And then what they do is, from this, they then applied lots of these maths models, and I don't really understand enough about mathematics and the actual that kind of math they do to tell you really what they did. But basically, when I wrote this, I wrote in my book lots of crazy maths models, but instead of lots, I almost wrote rots, and I felt like I'd racially burned myself.
That's so crazy mathematics.
So what these maths models basically do, though, is that they were based on how these cells are born and then can die and then be added to the population of cells that they're already in, and it sets whether there should be more, less, or equal amounts of birth and death and which cells will die. So basically these maths models can tell us which cells are dying, which cells are being born, when that should happen, and if they're being integrated into the existing population of cells. Yes.
Isn't it every 7 years all of your cells in your bodies get replaced?
But not in the brain.
Oh, wicked.
So the whole reason that, actually I should have probably mentioned that, the whole reason why this neurogenesis field is quite special is because we didn't think that your brain cells regenerated, or in fact any cell of your, any neuron, we didn't think they regenerated until about 50 years ago, that we realised actually this neurogenesis is something that happens after birth. So after development.
Cool.
So they did these models and then they added all these clever math stuff and then they could see what was actually going on. So then they looked at this neurogenesis. So what they did was that they analysed the concentration of carbon-14 in the DNA of the neurons. And basically they found that the carbon-14 concentrations corresponded to the atmosphere after birth. This confirms that these neurons were produced postnatally. So after development, these neurons happen. Because when they did this with neurons that were in another part of your brain that doesn't regenerate, the carbon-14 in those neurons corresponded to the time around birth. Are you following?
Yes.
Yeah.
Are you actually?
Explain what Curie just explained.
Carbon 14
Okay. So what did they do?
in the brain. Tracks. Bits in the brain.
Okay.
I'm following you.
Okay. Are you actually?
Yes-ish.
Are you following me?
I'm following.
Okay. So when they looked at the oldest person, the oldest brain that they had,
Which
they
was?
92 years old. They
That's
had
pretty aggressive. What was it?
Give me the answers!
They had carbon-14 levels that were present in the atmosphere before the Cold War and after the Cold War. So there has been something going on. And also, because they had, from how old they were in 1955 when the Cold War happened, they were 42 years old. So they were like, okay, this...
Oh, shit.
Yeah. So this proves that we can regenerate neurons in the 5th decade of our life. And then, pretty much, they just kept doing what we normally do in these sorts of science experiments, where they sort of repeat the sort of same experiment with slightly different twists. And it all proves the same thing, that these carbon-14 levels that we're seeing do correspond with the atmosphere after birth.
Is there any way the carbon-14... So wait, you said that the process where the timeline is generated is when the cell is born.
Yeah.
So there's no way that the carbon-14 from that time could be just integrated into an already existing cell.
No, because the carbon-14 integrates when the cell divides.
Yeah, okay.
When the cell divides and everything splits into two and doubles, that's when it integrates.
It slips into the gap.
Yeah. There is a lot more to this paper. For example, they looked at how much these cells now turn over. So not only are they produced late, but do they also turn over and integrate? And actually, they found that within neurons, 35% of the cells would be replaced by these new populations. And also they managed to figure out that we produce about 700 new neurons a day, which actually is nothing, because we have about 1 trillion.
Well, now I feel useless. Ugh.
How many neurons would you say that these two produced when they went to get the spring onions?
4.
I actually think they decreased.
Probably. That's why we fell over twice doing it.
Oh, yeah.
Considering that, what was it, over 50 years ago, that it wasn't even believed to be a thing. It's crazy that someone...
Yeah, so this paper caused quite a big ripple because this technique of carbon dating is something that wasn't really done before, and it was one of the first real substantial proof that we have that this is something that is happening in the human adult brain, and it's cool.
So with something like that, obviously that's like a big breakthrough. Obviously I'm not in the science field myself, I don't know if you can tell, but so when they come out with something like this, it's like this big groundbreaking thing. What's the initial reaction from everyone else who's never believed that this has been a thing? So is there a big outcry like, no, your research is wrong, or are they quite understanding? They're like, oh, that's wonderful, I can't wait to find out more. Or does it depend on sort of what their belief is?
Yeah, it depends. If you have someone who's...
We don't really have science tabloids, do we?
No. There was a paper that came out that basically blew up this field because they were saying absolutely this does not happen.
I heard about that.
So then that's when it splits into two sides. So you do get the people that were working on their side being like, I told you. And then you get people who say my lab, who are now really, this is what we do, being like, actually, that's not true. This is what it does happen. Here's all the proof. And then you have the people in the middle saying, this is cool. Now we need to consider both sides. So it can't really answer that because it depends. But yeah, that is my brain paper.
Cool.
That's pretty neat.
What do you think?
It's pretty neat.
You guys have stayed pretty quiet for this one compared to the clock.
I understand clocks more. But no, it is interesting.
Pop quiz time.
Yeah, do it. I'll beat you.
Dan.
Yeah, let's have a quiz. Let's have a quiz.
Okay, fine.
Okay.
What is the hippocampus?
It's the thing in the brain.
That's it.
What does it do?
That was a question for you, Dan.
What was the open question?
No, because I answered the first one, so you got the second one.
Oh.
What does the hippocampus do, Dan?
Helps you keep your with memory space and memory retention. No, not memory. Space retention.
Spatial awareness?
Spatial awareness. Yeah.
Was that? Did you say that somewhere?
Spatial navigation.
Same
That's the
thing.
word.
Same thing.
Okay.
Bad terms.
Yeah, would spatial navigation and spatial awareness be kind of similar?
Spatial awareness is more about whether
To navigate, you have to be aware.
Navigate is like going through and sort of knowing the directions and remembering which way to go. Spatial awareness is more about knowing what is in your space.
You're not very good at spatial awareness.
I'm not very good at spatial awareness at all, but I am an excellent driver.
Is that
Allegedly.
Is this a gender thing? Because I don't want to trigger anyone out there, But
In the gender
yeah, I know the gender card. I'm playing it.
Actually,
You've activated my trap card.
is this wait?
No, because all of the people that I hear that's like, oh, I have such bad spatial awareness. They, especially in school, secondary school, it was they were always girls.
What conversations do you have in school?
Well, no, it just came up.
Oh, okay.
Well,
not
one
the
of
only
the things they looked at in this paper, they did compare genders, and they saw no difference in the amount of cells we make. But there is a lot of stuff that basically says, especially developing teenage boys, they are a lot better at spatial problems than girls. So we'd have verbal reasoning and non-verbal reasoning. So the non-verbal reasoning was like, look at these shapes and then what comes next in this pattern. Boys are generally a lot better at that than girls. But I don't actually know why. I haven't actually read anything of it. How does the carbon dating work with our cells? And why can we do that?
Because when our neurons split, it gets the carbon, not dioxide, the other carbon
14
integrates with the splitting neurons.
But how does that get in us in the first place?
The plants
it
and the
gets into the trees
animals
via
we eat.
photosynthesis,
Yeah,
and then the trees, the animals eat the plants. We eat the animals.
We may eat the plants because not all of us eat animals, Dan.
Yeah, that's true. Back in the day,
in the vegan corner.
Exactly. Big up.
Very
Well
good.
done. I think that's
Very
the best
good.
answer we've got.
That was very good.
thank you. And I do remember photosynthesis from my science class. So thank you, Miss Richardson. you achieved something.
That'll make her day. She can die happy now.
Shame.
Was she old?
No,
She was
died.
definitely like 30.
How long have you guys known each other?
4 years.
Yeah.
4 years.
To the day.
Happy anniversary! Ah. No, I don't. I don't.
Should we leave the room?
Maybe.
Okay, well, should we wrap up the podcast then?
Bye.
How
Did
do
you
we
guys
wanna
have
do
fun?
Yeah, we did.
Loads of fun.
Did you learn some stuff?
I did.
Yeah.
I did.
Yeah, I did. No,
don't
I
ask me to name sort of the technical terms of it, but I understand the sort of the gist of it.
Would you come
Layman
back?
terms.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I can't wait to hear the end of Alice's paper, the results.
We should
Very
we
exciting.
should bring them back for the
Yeah.
results.
Is there a
Yeah,
predicted end date for it?
Probably about 3 years' time.
Well, I think we should save it for the 100th episode.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having us.
That was cute.
That's real cute. God, they really are such a nice little couple.
I know.
Yeah.
Bye.
Wait, we didn't do our socials again.
Oh shit! Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
You can email
Follow us on Instagram at Later Podcast.
and Twitter's the same handle, or you can.
Wait, let's start that again because I
Okay.
cut you off.
Yeah.
Okay, you go first.
You can follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Layout Podcast.
You can read our fantastic blog written by the lovely Silent Tamelza on...
Although it is a little bit behind right now.
Shame.
Shame.
Well, in the next few weeks, you can read our wonderful blog by the wonderful Silent Tamelza on layoutpodcast.wordpress.com.
Or you can drop us an email at layoutpodcast@gmail.com. If you have any suggestions of articles that you've seen that you might want us to cover, just let us know. And whatever platform you're listening to us on, please rate us 5 stars.
Please.
Please.
Oh, and CoFresh
Please.
sponsor us.
And Viennetta.
And HB. Is that HB?
Yeah, HB.
HB and CoFresh, please sponsor us.
Sky News might as well have a go as well.
Oh, and Google Images.
Thank you.
And I think in the last one we asked McDonald's also.
Oh yeah, that'd be good too.
Love it. I love a few chicken nuggets.
And while we're here, we might as well mention that we're drinking Sainsbury's gin. So Sainsbury's, if you want to sponsor us too,
Hello, Smirnoff.
and the famous grouse.
And follow at Mrs. Dan Kearns on Twitter. And follow Old Brewery on Instagram and Twitter.
Is that what it is? Old Brewery, isn't
Old
it?
Brewery.
Old Brewery Greenwich.
Maybe. Just have a search on Google Images for Old Brewery. And,
While you're snacking on some CoFresh and HB.
What in McDonald's on their Wi-Fi, which is provided by O2. Good for any conversations.
Okay, we're going to go now.
Love us.
Okay, bye.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Goodbye, everybody.
Where's Kevin? Where's Kevin?
Willem, you're back.
Who do you want?
We want both.
I want Willem. I want Willem.
Goodbye, everyone. Herbert says hello.
Can we
and
ha-
goodbye.
Can his water buffalo say goodbye to us?
He's very nervous. Please excuse him.
Okay, bye.
Toodles.
Bye.
Bye. See ya.
These two had something they wanted to say.
Dead meme.
Dead.
Say it.
Somebody once told me the world was gonna roll me. I ain't the sharpest tool in the shed. She was looking kinda dumb with a finger and a thumb in the shape of an L on her forehead. Oh, they don't stop coming and they don't stop coming and they don't stop coming and they don't stop coming. They don't stop coming and they don't stop coming and they don't stop coming and they don't stop coming. They don't stop coming and they don't stop coming and they don't stop coming and they don't stop coming. They don't stop coming and they don't stop coming and they don't stop coming and they don't stop coming. They don't stop coming and they don't stop coming and they don't stop coming and they don't stop coming. They don't stop coming and they don't stop coming and they don't stop coming and they don't stop coming. They don't stop coming and they don't stop coming and they don't stop coming and they don't stop coming. They don't stop coming and they don't stop coming and they don't stop coming and they don't stop coming.
I'm so glad my boss is